one day I'll not be addicted to caffeine, I promise. While I'm working from home today, I thought I would film on my lunch break again, and I really wanted to chat to you around like recovering from bad money decisions in the past. I'm just like the queen of bad money decisions. Like my late teens and early 20s, I just was all over the shop. Like, yeah, I've put a lot of effort in the past like 2 years to really like right all of those wrongs that I did. Got myself out of credit card debt, got savings in place. Like, to share a few tips that I have on that today to take yourself from like quite a negative picture into a better one, or at least what worked for me. Okay, I had reheated pizza for lunch, so I definitely feel better that I at least had some greens today. Let's get into trying to recover from making bad money moves in your past. So the first tip that I have for getting yourself started on this whole journey is to plan that recovery. I created like a debt payoff plan for that £8,000 worth of credit card debt. I knew exactly how much I would pay off every single month, and I had the end goal in sight of 0 across both credit cards. There was so much more drive behind it than if I just thought I'll pay it off like if I can and when I can and stuff like that. Like, I gave myself a route to getting there, and I literally made it happen. I now employ that with literally everything that I do, like with wanting to grow doing content creation, with wanting to grow in career, like anything that I now want, I set myself up in that way, and it has been hugely impactful for my life. So I would totally recommend giving yourself a plan. The next tip is to understand your spending habits, and my god, did I have to face a lot of like honest truths about myself. I realized was that, I don't know if anyone else is like this, but I honestly used to like give myself a goal and tell myself like, yeah, I'll only spend this much this month, and then I would just literally screw myself over. Like, I knew at the beginning of the month that I only wanted to spend like £200 on any little weekend plans and eating out and stuff like that. Saturday would come and I'd go to the shops and I'd spend 160, like done. And then I'd make the rest of the month really hard for myself, unachievable, and I would of course end up going over budget. It's like I constantly screwed myself over when it came to any aim that I had set up with my money, and I had to really get to the bottom of why that was and like what my problem was. And for me, I realized that like my overspending or my lack of like care about money would kick in if I first off felt low in confidence. For instance, if I had like an event coming up, even a little one, like a night out with friends or something, and I maybe just haven't seen them in a little while, the way I would panic about what to wear or something like that, I would end up spending like honestly over £100, which is so easily done now, on new clothes to facilitate that event, just because I felt low. The next one is ego related, and I think this is true of a lot of people, and this is where lifestyle creep comes in. It's like you get a new job, then you get a new car, kind of grow up caring about how things look on the outside rather than how it feels. And I felt incredibly stressed and incredibly unstable with my finances. I honestly had to take such a hard look at myself and realize that a lot of what I was doing and buying and spending was ego driven, which is so sad to admit, but it honestly was. And I think a lot of things are, like, even down to the job titles that we have and want, and so much stuff linked to that and linked to this whole like idea of lifestyle creep. I had to learn to figure out my affordability. I don't think a lot of people in their early 20s and stuff actually understand what their affordability is, like, or at least I didn't anyway. And I knew a lot of people around me would like make plans, set up holidays, buy clothes and stuff like that without knowing if that was actually within their means, particularly with things like Klarna, you know, people sharing lives on social media and everything. It can really warp your own sense of what your life should look like within your financial capabilities. So I had to learn what my affordability actually was. That meant downsizing a lot. Like, easily have spent £200 on a weekend. Now I spend around £50 across a weekend. And so my monthly spend has gone down from like £800 to 200. The practical way that I actually got an understanding of my affordability was through budgeting. So like, you know, my debt payoff plan I had my savings plan, but I also did my monthly budgeting and payday routine. And the thing that I focused on when I did my budgeting wasn't my income overall or what my salary was or anything like that. It was my disposable income. And that honestly is the only figure I care about now. I do not care what salary I'm on. I don't care how great that sounds. I don't care how bad that might sound to other people. all I care about is the fact that I have X amount of disposable income left. If for instance I had a salary and then I had like my outgoings, if my salary increased but I also increased my outgoings, I would be left with the same amount of disposable income. But a lot of people make those moves, as I say, lifestyle creep, yet still walk around feeling like they have more money when they don't, the exact same amount of disposable income. For me, I like started to live my life just within the realms of my disposable income, and it was life-changing. Like, this next one is like so important to me, and has been like probably one of the most emotive things that I feel like I've learned in the past 2 years, is to think of your future self. And I hear a lot of like people when they're talking around money and finances say that phrase and be like, oh, save for your future self, or pay yourself first and like put money in a savings. But when you actually make that shift between overspending, going over budget, living within the moment, and like kind of screwing yourself over with money, to really preparing and thinking for your future self, to sound cheesy, but it is honestly such a like self-love type of shift that you make, to consciously think that I'm actually worth having savings, like I'm worth having a great financial setup, I'm worth having like investments in place, I'm worth having like a retirement plan. Like, if this is true of like other people maybe who grew up quite low income and stuff, but I think like it's been something that I've really had to make be the case for myself. I grew up with a lot of love, but I didn't grow up with money. And I think I grew up without thinking that I should have anything in that sense, like because I never had it before. Actually, I'm so worth having 3 months worth of emergency savings to give myself a backing and to give myself peace of mind. I'm so worth having, you know, a prosperous career and an understanding of what I would do with that growth in income to make my older self be able to relax at a certain age. Like, I'm actually worth all of that. And like, that was a huge mental shift for me. I think a lot of people might actually go through that as well. And if you do look at any overspending habits or any kind of like lack of money know-how or lack of budgeting around your income and stuff that you currently have, for me a lot of it was like rooted in a bit of self-sabotage, or a lot of self-sabotage. And it's been so impactful working on this, like thinking that I'm actually worth financial stability. Okay, and the last tip I have around recovering from bad money moves in the past is realizing and fully understanding and envisioning for yourself that you can literally like change the person that you are. And I see loads of this type of content online and stuff, and I don't mean it to sound gimmicky or anything like that, but I cannot stress enough how much I have changed in the past 2 years to a person that I never thought I would be. I did not think I was the type of character to ever have a budgeting spreadsheet, or to ever like plan my holiday spending or anything like that. Like I thought that was not my character, and I thought that would never be. Like, I just thought it was scientifically impossible and stuff, and it is so not true. There is a quote from the book The Psychology of Money, which is one that I read while I was in this whole like understanding and bettering my finances journey, which says, financial success is not a hard science, it is a soft skill where how you behave is more important than what you know. My experience in the past couple of years could not be a better example of how true that is. If you're anything like me when I was in my younger 20s and you just thought you were doomed, I promise you, you're not. Totally get yourself to where you want to be, and the first step in doing that is believing that fact and is knowing that. And then you set up your plan and you set up your habits and you go for it and you work on it all the time. That is my roundup on how I went from a really bad, negative financial situation into being in a much better one. No one would look at my life and think that I was rich. I drive in a Nissan Micra. I buy things on Vinted. I have a very regular life, but I actually have financial stability for the first time at nearly 28 years old. That honestly feels like one of the best achievements that I'll probably ever have in my life. I have a PDF in the description that is totally for free, and it's going from overspending to having savings, and it just takes you through exactly what I did in a little bit more detail with a bit more practicality behind it if you're interested. And I post over on here once a week, so I will see you in the next video. Bye.